Hey everybody, Bloodrocker here, aka Leo. Yeah, this is pretty important. That I recorded these originally, and I was gonna mainly try to, uh, I was mainly gonna try to, um, I was mainly gonna try to, uh, get get it out, past week or so, but I couldn't really do it. I just couldn't really do it. I didn't really have confidence in myself to do it. So I decided to mainly do it live, how I did it with a few other announcements before. So yeah. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody at the East, and at the East, and almost Happy New Year's to Middle East and Mountain. It is technically 9:01 p.m. 10 p.m. 10:01 and 11:01 for Middle East. I know it's 1, I believe, at the north side of the East, but again, Happy New Year's and New Year's Eve, as we say. I know what the true New Year is. If you want to talk about more what the true New Year's, just ask me what. I'll ask you. You can ask me on the DMs on the Discord. I'm more of that curious fella. Anyways, I'm not gonna go off topic here forward. So, let's go straight to the point. Why I made this important and why this is a quote-unquote a big announcement and a important one. Number one is, of course, the... Hold on a minute. Sorry about that. Fireworks are going off early. My neighbors and I get a dog's bark. But anyways, back to the matter at hand, right? Number one, right? Let me get to the real ones, and that's the rules and the viewers at hand, right? So, to my fellow viewers that are underage, any families, any viewers that are, of course, an age that cannot handle unfiltered or any cussing alone or do not want to hear that, highly recommend watching my Wheels World Dimension series or any other series that doesn't have any cussing or rarely has any cussing. So I recommend watching Golden Rush Season 1 and 2, or at least Season 2 and somewhat of 3. There's certain cussing in the Golden Rush because it's balance-wise. to any family members that just wants to watch strictly any rare cussing or anything else, etc. Again, I highly recommend watching my Result Dimension or any videos that don't have cussing, or some of my series that won't have cussing. I will have a series alone that will not have cussing alone, so bear in mind that. So the balanced ones that are at least a little mature, teenager, etc. that can handle filters, but not too much. Please take advice that if you hear too much, leave. If you're still someone that can't handle that sign of too much, you know, what is it, cussing and all that stuff, etc., please leave the stream or watch something else on my channel, or watch, you know, something else entirely. Please and thank you. Let's see. The other one, of course, is let's see. The other one, right, is some sort of another one to like the balance type, right? So a big example, right, is how I do it with the Golden Rush series alone. There's me more to the non-cussing of sides as much. You know, you got the funny cuss guy, my broadcast partner Shade. That's called a balance in a live stream. Now to mainly the unfiltered side of my channel. To my unfiltered side in a series alone that I make for Spookathon, One of War, Lethal Company, a few other things that are mature, 17 plus, and any other than that, or more beyond that. I hope y'all remember the the old paragraph, like, remember the game that says like E for everyone, PG-12, etc., mature 17. That's why I'm technically putting some of my streams in the way that I want it to be. So, yeah. That's how the channel works. Like, in general, this is how the channel works. You can give me the criticism all you want on the feedback or the positivity, how it works in general. Just remember that I'm not a fella that would fall off my tradition way to do this. So again, just remember that that's how I work. So again, it's a friendly reminder of that. Anyways, there is some more other parts of it to mention it. Try to get something in the background. Yeah, that's a little better. But yeah, that's just how it works. Again, as I said, Lethal Company, and just ones that are gonna be highly cussing or no filter, and then there's gonna be ones that are gonna be not that are gonna be custable, etc. All that. Again, I hope y'all understand. I hope y'all understand the balance type of that, and I hope y'all understand how the friendly type of hand works. Again, I have plans on gaming-wise, for example, Star Wars, Old Republic, Knight Aids of the Republic, Old Republic, and a few others, right? So, again, I have a good few things that I want to really save in certain things. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the examples. Now, gaming-wise, right, as I was mentioned earlier, the games I'll be starting off playthrough is on my alone is what people will join with me or not. As I mentioned before, Star Wars Republic, we're actually going to complete a class alone and not jumping around left and right. Like I've been doing it for like 26 parts of episodes or whatnot. So, Guild Wars, it's only gonna be a class. Complete the story of the prophecies, factions, and aftermath, if I'm correct. And then you got the Northern. Then you can do each individual one you want to do, really. Northern, the Northern, right, will not really fully go. That would be like a time stampish, because we need certain heroes probably to beat the story. If not, I might get like a friend to play, but when we find out on the Guild Wars side. Slime Rancher is one of them, and there's just a good amount of others that I want to try to get there out of the way, or try to, love to play and see what I can do. Let's see. What is the next thing, if I remember? Okay, let's stop doing it. Let's see, our next thing, right, was the Entertainment 3. I'll hold that for a moment, time. Actually, I know the perfect one. Wheels with mention. If y'all remember, right? I technically stopped making it. I haven't canceled it, nor haven't really making it on any progress. Mainly due to the fact that I had just never had that much time at all when there was a certain point hit. So, yeah, it was a bit of a problem for quite some time. And then at that point, for myself, I had a point where I just was losing interest because of what was the point, right? And there was just certain things behind the scenes that just affected me to not continue Wheels World Dimension. So I was at a point in time to not really get it going. However, right, I decided to push through, and hopefully in this new beginning of the next year, I can finish Season 2. And I know this is going to be a little upset, ending, or might be sad, might be unfortunate, but there will not be no season 4 and 5. And I know who will be watching this later on, or who is watching this now live, and probably asking me on the comments right now soon, is why? Or why would you do this, or what's the reason, or whatnot, or pretty much the question I will be asking commonly, or someone will give me the reason of what's so, right? Well, unfortunately, I got a bigger plan to really show my true intentions to Wheels World Dimension, and it's gonna be bigger than ever, right? Because don't get me wrong, I used and loved to make Wheels World Dimension. I was on a roll actually back then, and then of course everything else kind of went downhill. But regardless, right? I was, you know, getting busy on certain things. There was just things over time in my life, things I just needed to do, all that stuff. And I had to just do before, you know, this, you know, before live stream, before a video, before anything really. It's just there were certain things that had to dealt with, and there was just things that I just want my own time. That's one thing I haven't really mentioned as much is I do my own time things and try to spend time the best possible with certain people that I want to hang out. And sometimes I feel like I don't get that often. Sometimes I feel like I do, and it's just sometimes it is true in realizing it, or sometimes it's not, and just not realizing it again. And yeah, that's one of those main reasons. But the main reason what I was want to mention is going to season 3 finale instead of 5. Originally, that was planned, if you remember. If old fans and any fans that or anyone has known that I mentioned before, that it was season 1 all the way to 5. Then I skeptical it, and then I decided, you know what? Over time, in the end of December or somewhere around December, here I was talking about it. I decided to say, you know what? I'm not fully gonna cancel it, but I'm gonna shorten it down to season 3. Now, this will be somewhat of a spoil, but at the same time, it's mainly it has to be aware that how do I want to really continue the series to make it a big hit? How can I make it more better? How do I want to make it a good and better project than how it is I have done it? Well, for one, the finale will be a wipeout resistance, meaning the place that they are in is Surge, the original, you see, so the resistance of it is indeed is just how it goes. And again, I think really in general is because there's a lot of things that I'm gonna say to it that you guys are gonna be surprised why it's gonna be better, etc. All that, and I want it to be better than the gotcha like film series I'm doing right now, right? And that's I have about three options to do after this finale of season 3. Of course, we're still in season 2. It's still going to be pretty much this and that. I'm not going to spoil season 2 nor all of season 3, but the season 3 finale, Scourge is pretty much going to do a full-on takedown, but someone's going to sacrifice to warp them away to a new beginning. So that's what the big plan is. Scourge is gonna die in season 3 finale, but someone is gonna make the sacrifice. Now who? I don't know. But it's very likely the one or not in my place, because again, this Horizontal Dimension is technically gonna be mostly canon. Scourge and whoever else with him will never exist in Leo's World Dimension, meaning it's a wipeout existence of that planet in that dimension alone. So meaning that the teleportation of who's they're sacrificing is gonna be it's gonna be gone forever, and whoever else was on there. So again, Keisha, she's already in rest though, so she's already been in there, but whoever was in the bio in there who died and whatnot, unfortunately will not be there. So yeah. So like for lesson and all that. But yeah, that's how it's gonna go for the ending. But now here we go, where the part I announce, where what should be next? What should be the headline for the new beginning of the actual Leo's World Dimension of the series alone? The fourth option is indeed, I will mention, is the God's Life if these three do not go to plan attendantly. The first one that's been on my mind lately is a sprite sheet series. You heard that right, a sprite sheet series. Now I'll be wondering, people that don't know sprite sheet series is, what is a sprite sheet series? What is a sprite sheet in general? For example, if anyone has played Sonic Advance 1, 2, and I believe 3, I believe there's Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3. Play the Sonic Advance games, or look up Sonic Advance, or just look up Sonic Sprite Sheet videos, or any series that has been made. That's what I'm gonna be going for. Now I know, of course, I'm gonna have probably some question as well, or get this ahead of time, is there gonna be Sonic characters in my story? In some degree, of some sense, to make it fully connected to the Sonic verse in a way, but it's mainly Leo's, like, it's a dimension where it's Leo, and the clans and all that stuff. That's where it's mainly towards it, but if I want to be connected with at least one of the few worlds, for example, you know, the Battleborn or Battlebond, Jet the Hawk, Storm, and the other big fella, or no, yeah, Storm, Wave, etc. I'll be in that sort of thing. Other than that, though, that's what I am aiming towards in a way. Now, I will announce the important personal notes if people want to join and whatnot, right? And this is for the sprite sheet series, animation series. I think actually no, comic would be my second option. First option would be an animation series. Fourth option is going to the old one I've done since then. That's like the final last option. And go back to the old plan originally intended. That I really hope I don't. But again, let me go back to where we're at, right? So if y'all know Sonic Advance again, or any Sonic spreadsheets, what we're going for is a spreadsheet. I want to go for a spreadsheet series of Visual Dimension, of main character, right, of Leo the Hedgehog, from In the Tiger, and then if y'all know for Sonic X, shout out to the creator. I wish I remember who your name was, but shout out to him. Yeah, we're gonna have Isanai in there, and a few others. I will also have Shade, Hedgehog, or Shade Hedgehog Android. I don't know how the heck you want to say it exactly. For my boy. And then a few others who want to join in, right? Now, this is the critical part. For all the series alone, right? I need a way for anyone who wants to join the series to put part of that series or how it goes over time in your story, while it goes with the backstory over time, or just the journey in the story in your OC file, or how Shay did it. I'll be getting him shortly, right? But in simple context, there is a certain degree how the backstory or the story is how it goes, or you can just be a cameo, or at least a one-off appearance fella that came here and lost and all that, or for episode or two, a cameo, or just that cameo appearance. You see your OC just chilling there and whatnot in the background and whatnot. Those are the main options, right? Be in the full series alone, be in somewhat in the series of certain episodes and critical points, be a cameo, somewhat of a cameo for about 1 to 3 episodes or so, and whatnot, right? And then if you don't want to be in the in the story and whatnot, but just be, you know, be shown and all that, you'll be a cameo in there, not in the story or anything, or in your story, and you'll be in the background shown as a little Easter egg or whatnot, So that's what I tend to plan. Of course, I will ask for some more help and whatnot and everything. Now, for this will go all alone for all 3 of the options, right? This is gonna be a big shocker. I'm not gonna say like, hey, so overall for this project, right? it's gonna cost you guys money. But guess what? It's free. I ain't costing you a dime or nothing. I am putting full on freedom and free of everything else, pretty much anything really, to be free. However, if anyone who will be a good volunteer or anything, you know, being who's going to be the sprite sheet animators, who's going to be the writers with me, co-director or anything like that, the voice actors with your OCs or whatnot, that is your option that you want me to give you some money to help you for any right reason instead of a excuse reason or just excuse alone or reason or for no reason at all. I will pay you. I would gladly pay anyone who needs money if need of again help, or anything that needs, you know, if you need his help for money for something that you need, personal reasons, food, anything, etc. Like just that has the right reason, the right cause, anything. As I said before earlier, I am 100% down to do that. Other than that, the project of Wheels World Dimension of the New Beginning will not cost anything. It is going to be free. If we go to the spreadsheet route, the comic route, or the animation route. So, yeah, that's the big side of it. The other part, right, for certain things, you can have your OC in there, but not voice acted. You can have your OC in there, voice acted if you want. I can have a writer assistant if I want, if you want to join in the fray. Again, one thing I'll be looking to big in mind is who's going to be the guys that I need, or who's the guys who wants to join, mainly who wants to join the ride of Wheels World Dimension of the New Beginning, of being the sprite sheet animator guy, or multiple to help it, to progress it and everything. That is a big mystery, honestly. But for now, there is options I do have. We'll be, of course, going shortly soon for the route of mentioning how that would work. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get Mr. Shane real quick, how to mention him, how someone can work. So I'm gonna be mute just shortly and try to get my pal. Alright, so I'll continue on a little later. I do have shade right now and some more. But right now, I will tell how the comic one works as of right now, right? The comic one would be interesting. It wouldn't be bad or worse. I think it would be pretty cool. A new sort of journey of it. Now this one, I would definitely help out on certain pages or in writing wise. However, like in certain form way, right, I wouldn't get all of it because again, as me as an artist, I'm still trying to get under artist things going. The main thing how I do as an artist right now is paint schemes. I still can draw anything else that I can or want onto. But when it comes to this, whatnot. Alright, my boy Shane will be here soon on Discord. I was gonna have him on the phone mainly, but it looks like he'll be here soon to describe how the degree, how you the degree part of they want to be in, you know, of my events to your mostly stuff. Also, Happy New Year's to the Middle East. But yeah, again, for the comic wise, we would most likely have, we would do it voice act wise, but we would also have to like get the sound effect fellas or a few other things, etc. But comic wise would be like second best route, or at least a cool or a unique approach route. Think as like a better version of Gotcha. You think that as pages of the frame and whatnot, but instead of that, it's gonna be just a comic. I don't know which version exactly we would go for comics, but we'll see if it'll be sketch wise, paper wise of full color or sketch, or just digital. That again is like more a future plan ahead of which one is approached. Let's see. The other part of it is again mainly have a few writers, that, etc. So yeah, so yeah, writers, we will voice acting, if possible, with voice acted, etc. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other thing. Let's see. Directing wise, mainly me, but anyone else who want to be co-director or assistant director is there as well. Now we got the animation approach. There's many options on that one. 3 options of mine though is 2D animation, 3D animation, or Stickman animation. If y'all know those are underrated. If it was 3D animation, we have probably have to look for a few people who knows that. That would probably be the difficult one. In a way, the second difficult one would be 2D, and the reason why is quite obvious is framing wise, and that goes with 3D, but 3D is a little more of you gotta move certain things. I'm not expert, but I'm trying to think of an example. Like, you have other things that you also have to move with 3D, etc. Think of Gary's mod or SVX effects, like how Half-Life or everything else is all those. Day or anything like that, or TF2 things. But 2D is definitely one of the other ones that are difficult to do because of the frames as well, but also the drawing wise of it to put it together. That's gonna be one of the difficult parts, indeed. Let's see, and that's just one of them, right? I don't think it's gonna be the best. I don't think it's gonna be easy. There's certain points that is easy, but there's also points that it's just gonna be difficult at certain aspects of it. So that's why I think it's gonna be one of those hard options. Stickman one, it would be honestly interesting how that one goes. Now granted, that one might not be as difficult, but it will be difficult regardless. But it is gonna be one of those options, and again, the mainly focus is who is gonna be the animators on the 2D wise, the 3D or the Stickman one wise. But yeah, those are and I already mentioned before, the writer, assistant, writer, VAs, etc., or just have a text wise, depending what direction it's gonna go. Now again, if those 3 plans don't work as intended or no interest, then unfortunately we'll go to the Gosh Your Life one and expect to be very slow on that one, because again, I have lost a lot of attention and some passion to it away, and that's the unfortunate part, right? Yeah, that's how we go. Let's see. Now, I'm trying to figure out what I said on the records. In certain aspects, right? If it was spreadsheet, we will definitely take it as no. Okay, so I'm there. So if it goes to animation wise, for example, spreadsheet, 2D, 3D, or Stickman, or all that, it will go to at least a start of 1 season. However, all of the animation ones will have a pilot of real examples and see how it goes, see how it feels, see what will work. If it works well enough, that's where we're gonna go move forward. And if it doesn't, we gotta figure something else out. If the comic of the pilot as well doesn't work on certain pages, then we have to figure something out, or something different. And again, if all doesn't go as planned, then that goes to the last option as mentioned earlier. Yes, the other part of it. Yeah, that's how that will work. Now, for how many episodes do I want to go, and how many seasons should I attend to aim? Well, it really does come down to how successful and how long people want their OCs to go, how that we want to how we want to end certain OCs on their last episode, etc., appearance, all that, or anything like that. That's pretty much one of the big options. And main characters, there is going to be certain characters, I would say, or this character alone, I think will be either just take down to the sideline with a permanent damage, or just damage enough where they can't do anything else in a certain time span. There will also be a certain point as well that OCs will be either just have to go, or if they agree in a certain point, they die, but also either get transferred to A, their own place, barely alive, or B, something else like that. Again, we're not fully certain, we're not fully guaranteed of what the big move forward would work, but it does depend really if you're going to be riding alongside Wheels World Dimension on the story fully to add it with your stuff on your OC with the lore, all that stuff, or a certain degree, or cameo wise in certain episodes you want to join, or just cameo in the background. Now the episodes I think that what I think I want to have, I'm thinking, to put it simple and easy, 12 as the max, 10 and the minimum, 8 as the less. So between 8 to 12 episodes. How many seasons I want? Yeah, I don't know. But I'm looking for at least a good one season, and then if we hit an average nice, we'll do between 2 to 4 seasons. If it's successful, I might be aiming 5 to 6 seasons at 5 originally as planned I wanted. Layla. sit down. That's fine. Anyways, dogs are freaking out because of the fireworks. Understand them. But back to topic. Yeah, that's why I'm living at 5 seasons max. 3, I think, would be like the lowest. 2, or maybe 2 to 4 average. So that's like 3 to 4 if I want to, or if we all want to, or most agreed or so. So again, we'll see. And again, episode wise, it'll be 8 at the least. Tito, stop licking your paw. Sorry about that. Let's see. And then yeah, just. I said stop, Tito. Literally, stop licking your paw. Doggos. Back to topic. 8 at the least. 8 to 10. 10 would be the minimum. 12 the max. And that's how it would go. That goes the same, I believe, depending how it would win with the animation, right? Whereas the sweatshirts, as I said, 8, 10, or 12 episodes, or 8 to 10, 8 to 12 episodes. That goes the same with the animation perspective. 3D or 2D or mixture of both, maybe. Or Stickman. And that's, again, I think will be hopefully comfortable enough for anyone or anyone around that doing work. Now, comic-wise, if I wanted to, it really depends how many pages do we want to go for each arc per se, because it's every page would show each action and what it say, etc., right? And usually comics, if I'm correct, average about 20, 30, 40 pages. You can let me down below in the comments or the live chat here how much average per page there's in there. But for me, if it was me to be simple and easy, for a simple easy route, it would be 15, 10 to 20 pages. 10 to 20 pages, 15 at the minimum. Or 16, 15 to 16 minimum. And then close for that arc. Complex and more complete-ish would be, let's see, 16 to 36 or 48 pages. 40 at the max, 16 at the minimum, or 20. And in the middle, put it like 20, 30, 24, or 28. Cliffhanger is a 29. dokie. And it would work in Hayes' perspective. Again, it really depends also with if we're going sketch-wise only. Yeah, sketch-wise only. Cutter page-wise, depending what cutter we're going. Flat cutter, normal cuttering, or full-on complete 8-wise. I mean, it's also with shading. We don't know if we're gonna go digital or sketch digital or anything like that, so it does depend on that as well for what it will work for. Now, if we had to go to the final option, as we also want to mention on the Gacha app, I'm not certain of how it will work, but any other day I think it wouldn't be the best option, but it'll be originally planned I did, as I said before.
What now?
No, I was just mentioning my last option. If I don't have the other options of spreadsheet or the comic option or the animation option. But since you're here, you want to give them a good explanation on if anyone will join, right? We already know how, if you would fully join the journey on lore, and it would put your war in that certain degree of the arc or chapter. That's the first one. The second one is, for example, you put in the way, in the degree. And that is
so for basic lore of how to write a good character is to have a good, unique backstory and a reason why of who they are today. Because you can't start off with an OP character without a unique backstory and a reason why this character is justified to be a powerful character. I do believe that in basic writing can also apply as an example with official characters. Take Goku, for example. He started off as a very weakly Saiyan, sent over to Earth, worked his way up to become the powerful warrior as he is today.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year's.
What's up?
We're just discussing about a important announcement over here. Leo's streaming right now.
Bro.
What?
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year's.
Bruh.
So just right now we're discussing about something serious for the audience to know. So, I mean, if you're kind of occupied, if you're having a party or something, just enjoy yourself, go wild. Oh, there we go. He took that. He did not took the hint.
What?
Did you get disconnected?
Yeah, and I didn't do it, so you can't accuse me for that.
What am I being accused of?
I said I'm getting accused of. You can't accuse me for kicking you out.
Shut up, Tito. But yeah, continue on.
No, Happy New Year's, guys.
Again, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. So, take Goku, for example, of how he started off as like a weakly Saiyan who was sent over to planet Earth because of his low power level being at the estimate of 2. Scientifically, that's below human level in terms of power scaling. With enough training, with enough arcs that he went through that are impactful to his own journey and gives him tests in a way, not just mentally, but also physically and spiritually, to be the better version that he was in the past. And he's proven time after time, even after defeat, he would still be a powerful warrior that he is well known today. He would continue to grow and evolve and continue to sharpen his own skills in martial arts. That's why this is often debated that Goku is probably the more better character than Superman in terms of some comic book arcs of Superman, for example, and some writers, for example. Another character, Sonic, can also be used as a good example. Now, his consistency with terms of continuity can be all over the fucking place. Despite all that, he still has good character arcs and good unique challenges he has to go through. So, put in a little bit of information and flesh it out into something, original. You can have it inspired to a certain degree to the favorite series that you have. Like, for instance, my character, for example, Shade. I was inspired by Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball was the key equivalent to Sonic as the heavy inspirations because Yuji Naka, the original father of Sonic, and Akira Toriyama were actually friends during the time. They shared ideas to each other with Sonic having some things from Dragon Ball, while Akira Toriyama has some attributes from Sonic, like the title screen that you see in the game. You actually see it in one of the shots of the anime Slump, which is the adaptation for Toriyama's first ever manga, which was a gag manga, obviously. But it doesn't just go from there. It could go to many other different meanings. You could have Green Army Men, for example. Despite not actually having much lore, there's so much you can think of that can actually make a little bit more sense. Like how they'll be at war for decades against the Tans.
Yep.
And not to mention, the games are actually fantastic. So the first ever game I played in the Green Army Men was Air Attack 2 on the PS2. And I think arguably is one of the best air fighting games in the Green Army Men series. I just wish there was more being made today in the modern times, but there is little to no chances for that to happen whatsoever.
Yep, unfortunately.
I do have been helping out my good friend King Will to help out with his own character, flesh it out with a unique backstory and how he was able to be what he is today as the King of Vertonia. I'm helping my bud Tim out with his character, which is Timothy Makasha being the Magic Man, obviously. And he's still the Magic Man in the series that's racing right now currently. I've watched a little bit of the recent races while I was working when I was not too busy at times. So I'll just have a quick glance and I see that number 12 car. I was like, yeah, he's making me proud. He's doing real damn good. He's Magic Man for a reason. I think he finished well during the closing moments of that race.
Yeah, he ended up third, I believe. But yeah, that's
Top 3. That's good for him.
But yeah, that's how it works in general.
Another thing.
But
There's another thing I will point out, if you don't mind. Sorry if I interrupt you.
it's fine.
So another thing I will point out is that you're not only just having to flesh out one character. If you're making your own story, you gotta have some other multiple versions of the characters and whatnot. So think of it like this: a what-if story. Might be non-canon. It's only canon into your own head. And if it's written well, it could go to some places.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still writing on my own lore for my character, but I did got the basis down where he's justified to how powerful he is right now I hadn't been doing writing as much because I've been mostly speaking about it in terms of like my character and whatnot. But they eventually got the idea of how powerful my character is from what he was in the past. Because I did off the beginning bio, and I sort of started it off from there. I was one time writing the entire chapters. Like I was thinking about doing like multiple chapters based off of sagas and all the others, fancy doodle jigs. But something happened with my phone. It wasn't readable on my SD card. I about panicked when I seen that. Like I thought my stuff was deleted. Like I was panicking, man. But luckily, none of my stuff is just unreadable on my phone for some reason. So I'm thinking about getting myself another SD card device and transfer it from the old SD card to the new one. I'll try to fix it up in my own way to see if I can make it readable again. See if it's just the card or if it's just my phone being stupid.
Yeah.
But I gotta figure out some way of how to do it. So it's a little bit of a complex situation right now, and especially with money, how it is. Nevertheless, if y'all want to know an update, I haven't given up on it. I just got occupied with a few things.
Yeah.
I'm just been busy a lot, not just with adult responsibilities. Because when when you're an adult, you gotta grow up. You gotta have some way to make money in a legal way possible, and help out pay bills or whatnot. So there's that bit that you got to do in life if you want to, expand your own hobby if it costs money. Which, I've actually been doing pretty good myself, but in my personal life situation, it's kind of a little bit complicated, but it's not all negative. It's somewhat positive in a way, but end of the day, I'm trying to be realistic, and I'm trying to, see what's the good in this and what's the bad in that, and try to balance it out to whatnot, because you can't be too positive, but you can't be too negative.
They would.
You gotta have a balance with it. We're still live, by the way, in case if you didn't know.
Oh, you guys are still live?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wait, you guys are still live?
Yes.
Oh wait, you guys are still live?
Ask that question one more time before they get pissed.
Anyways.
All right. But
Well,
you want to say Happy New Year's to them?
yep. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year. All right.
Alright. Get the hell out of here, dude. Thank you. Anyways, back to my example. So you gotta have some way and balance in life to actually think, not just think in the most clearest way possible to have unique ideas, but also to see the realism in real time of what's going on. For me, I have a bit of a struggle because of my autism, but I'm trying to, adapt into it and actually see the better picture into it. Which I have been doing pretty good. There are sometimes I would fumble, but then again, who wouldn't fumble? Because we're all human at the end of the day. And I'm sure as hell I'm human.
Yep. Well, indeed, that's how it works. And that's how most characters work. And that's what future plans indeed. But for the main explanation is how the Shade got to part of Willow's backstory and mainly to the Wesel dimension. Well, this is one of the ways, and that, well, she has a good explanation why.
So, when it comes to my character, I have a set on terms of continuity. So, I have my story, which is the most canon of them all, because my character, my choice. As long as I'm giving him like good writing, it should be justified and whatnot, right? So, that's the most canonical thing of them all. However, if I have unique collabs, like example, the guy over here that's hosting it right now, if I have good, not just good relations, but be and actually come up with good character arcs and whatnot, and some funny moments on the side with it, I can make that semi-canon. Just have it set place in the alternate universe. I know it sounds like it's a bit of a cheesy thing to pull off, but hear me out. It's probably gonna help out, organize things instead of like having a jumbled up continuity. Like example, Superman. I mean, there's so many times his continuity has been fucked over so many times. And I'm not dissing on Superman. Superman is a iconic comic book character, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And he's probably one of not just the iconic ones, but also one of the heavy hitters in comics. Well, besides Hulk, but that's for a different topic. Anyways, so with his version of Shade, I was monitoring it a little bit. We were sharing a little bit of ideas, and he gave me some bit of the dealios with his lore, because this is his series, and if you're involving one of the characters that is written by someone else's, that's like a good friend of yours, come into like an agreement, like in the line, where they can have certain things from your character to be put in there, but either changed to fit well for the story in terms of the plot and the rule set, or have it altered to where it's mostly fair. Because Leo over here, he had some inspiration from Dragon Ball, but it's mostly heavily inspired by this animated series that has been an inspiration from Dragon Ball, Sonic X, and I think so, if I remember correctly.
It's more of inspiration
Um,
to Dragon Ball, but it has like some. It's called mainly inspired to Super Sonic X. That's the series, and if you don't know that series, is mainly voiced by Spanish, but continuity to it shows Shadow, Sonic, and many other characters. For example, the famous Sanai. That's where I was inspired to get that, and that's where you see Big Bang from him, a few other moves, and just some Sonic uses, like Ken and Inform that Shadow and Sonic use. They use also SSG3, 2, sometimes I believe in that, and then 4, and then beyond that, I believe it's kind of made on the greater side of things. And then I began to think, and me and Shane were pretty crazy and creative on it back then, and that was since we did more than that and do the plan side, we decided to do phase 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And some of the designs who probably know went with two different mastered look, of course, and then ultimate int version of both. Master would mainly have the horror with it. Ultimate would have the horror coming out from the body. And see image A how Rewind works on All for One, or seeing how they're using moves, or seeing Grandma Falls heroes or supers on certain floors comes out from their, not from their body, but it's on their body and comes out up.
The way it's the way how their energy shows. But it's not just that. It could also be hint in the eyes as well, where it can have like a unique design or different look into it, as well as the hair. So as long as it shows that, like, it's a different evolved form from just the base form from the type itself, I do believe it would suffice to where it would actually have like a term of good design into it and whatnot. As of right now, I haven't came up with like, form designs, but I came up with some ideas of how a transformation sheet would go down with my character in my continuity, like the main one rather than the one that Leo and I are coming up with currently. Because in terms of the forms in his continuity that we just discussed as of recently, that's all mostly his idea. I just rolled with it and kind of gained a little bit more ideas from there. But I'm still thinking of trying to think of like what kind of unique designs would fit well for the characters and what power amplifications would enhance in terms of physical and energy type wise. So we're still trying to think of what enhancements would it be rather than just we're still trying to generate ideas from that, but it's been kind of slow as of recently because we all had a really bad year. I mean, in our own way, we had some bad times and things changed a little bit too fast than normal, and we're just trying to adapt and trying to get through the best of it, basically, while we're trying to enjoy stuff and still trying to be realistic about some problems about what's coming on ahead.
Yeah, that's how most of
So we got that nailed down and some of the things over here.
yeah, that's everything how it works. I already mentioned how the animation, comic wise, that's the minimum. But again, if any of that, technically, I think the best way possible I'll put it, like if you really want to join through in a certain point, because you already mentioned in a certain degree how you want to join, but how you want to join it fully is you need an OC that is mainly a Mobian, because that's where I'm inspired mainly on to it, and I think that's quite easy, honestly. And the other part is just try to minimize as best as possible on what you can do. There is, of course, some considers you have to, a certain degree, certain things and other work well enough, and then to a certain extent to put the deal done for your OC to join continuity of what current situation. Now, Shade again is what's different because it was a certain different time on the degree part of the joining part, and that's the semi-cam part. Full cam part would be join a certain part, and then the best way possible it would work, right? Any of the series would be chaos portals, or portal that would, or a certain portal that would either one return them back to their own place. That goes mainly to all semi-canon movies for a certain degree of descent. Or some of the OCs that want to go back, or certain OCs that would stay to the very end. But that would be also a little challenge, but nevertheless, I think it would be not as much as I have done this in the past on RPGs, so it wouldn't be the first try of trying to make something like that. Again,
Yeah, basically, it wouldn't be the first, but it wouldn't be the last.
Yeah, now, somewhat canny-ish. That's the cameo wise. Of course, you would be introduced on one episode, and have the episode where again it would be just what to do here or help in what form way, a certain time it has, and then there's the lead episode for how long exactly it wants to say. It's just if it comes to that third option for if you want to do it in the series you want to join. If it is either 3 to 5 episodes. Cameo is only one episode, again, at the back of everything.
Yep.
Etc. That's everything on Wheels One Dimension and how everything else works. Character wise, basic wise, or all above on what would work well enough. Now for the last and final one of the announcement. And that is the NR 2003 Winston Chase Sim Racing Series. Y'all been hearing big reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, big reset means everything is, it's a new chapter, or as well, in a sense, but some more of a, let's see, putting it on this perspective, it's more of time to expand. It's an expanding route of a big reset.
Mm-hmm. So basically, so this is how what it would be like over here. So in this sport that we've hosted recently, well, actually Leo hosted, but I was at work. But technically I'm the co-host because I also do co-commentating as well, and also announce a few things for it as well. So this is an inspiration to real life NASCAR with few minor changes into it. We're not going to the most realistic way possible in terms of the current points format because it's dog shit, obviously.
Yeah, we're gonna keep mainly how we were rolling to begin with, because there is gonna be certain infos I think that will be somewhat added later on the line. As I mentioned on recent race, we will have a certain meaning to, but in simple terms, to hear it out, is there will be new things, but the old things will be either adjusted or just it's been good as it is to keep on going.
Which, from the most cases that the points format, I think we done it nailed down perfectly. Like combined the Cup era point system with the wild card spots with the Winston Cup format as like the Winston Chase playoff format. So we combined both point systems from the Cup Series, from like, to have the playoff system in there. And we also combined it with the old NASCAR routes with the Winston Cup. Because pros and cons from each side when it comes to Winston and both wildcard spot format. So with the wildcard spot format, it gives off more chances for people to make it into the final parts of the race, which is the wildcard system. There is a good pro into that where you actually have like good racers, even unpredictable ones, to show up that can have more chances to win at least a cup or two. However, there is a con if you actually have like shown off to be more consistent than possible, but somehow, some way, you haven't gotten yourself into a win, and someone took away your spot for in the wildcard situation. That's basically to where it shows off to where maybe the wildcard situation point system might be flawed into a way. And some would say like the Winston Cup points are probably the better option for it, which it is technically true because the Winston Cup format in terms of points was started in 1971. So this was like after we had the Plymouth Superbird and the Dodge Daytona. This started after the Aero Wars, and that's where Plymouth and Dodge had faced a very downside from it because they've actually had to go through more restrictions because of how fast that they have been in terms of not just aerodynamics but also the engine as well, because they both can use the same parts technically, because Plymouth is like the junior version of Dodge in terms of like the Dodge Daytona and the Plymouth Superbird in some aspects. Kind of like how Chevy is like the big brother to Pontiac in a way.
Yep.
So they had the nerf, unfortunately, the goated type cars, and it got to the point where they just underperformed than what they did last season, which was like 1970. And I think Bobby Isaac won 1970 NASCAR season. So I know it wasn't Richard Petty till about 1971, which was like the beginning of the win points, and he was like driving the Dodge Challenger. Because I remember Richard Petty did one in that time. So it started from 1971, and it lasted for way over than a decade. It lasted over 3 decades. So it lasted to about 3 decades and a 16th for the final Winston Cup was at the year of 2003.
Yep.
And that's where this is where some people would take an advantage with the Winston Cup format because of, like I said, about the wildcard situation in terms of the cup point system. It's quite the opposite when it came to Winston Cup. If you're the most consistent, finishing at like top 3s, top 5s, 10s, hell, maybe good top 15s, you're probably in a good spot of winning a championship if you have the best, most consistency. That's how Darrell Waltrip actually won multiple cups. I think he won 3 cups. He won at 1981 and 1983, and I think 85 or 84. But I do remember Darrell Waltrip actually won 3 cups.
Yep.
And that's where most dominant drivers like Richard Petty, he's the king of NASCAR. He was one of the most dominant ones out there with his legendary consistency and longevity. And one of the other ones, Dale Earnhardt, was also part of it as well. Besides Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott was one time, but he only won 1 cup, and that was after Earnhardt won the '87 series, or the season, excuse me.
One of the biggest.
That was the only.
One of the biggest. What was it? One of the biggest underdog ones, though. For example, was also Mark Martin.
Yeah, Mark Martin definitely. In one of the seasons, during the Winston Cup, he was definitely the underdog in one of the seasons. I do know Earnhardt in the 1980, he was an underdog. At least he won Rookie of the Year in 19.
Yep.
So there is good little props I could say for a little good old Earnhardt, because obviously I'm an Earnhardt fan, no ifs, ands, or buts, and I will say he's better than Richard Petty in most aspects. Like, sure, Richard Petty have more Daytonas and more wins, but in terms of driving style, nobody could drive like Earnhardt.
Yeah, no consistency. Definitely Earnhardt consistency.
Yeah, call him Ironheart for nothing.
But yeah, that's how a good explanation we can put it for how it works in general in NASCAR and how we've been using the format. We're using this, of course, we're using 2011, which case of formats on the system point wise, that's 43 to 1 or 43 to 2. And of points, bonus points
Mhm.
were mainly our choice. And that's fastest lap, pole, lead a lap, and lead the most laps. The one that was also the ones were recently added was leading a lap and leading the most laps. The ones has been here for a while since I believe season 3 was pole and fastest lap.
Yeah, I do remember that pole and the fastest lap for season. Yeah, I think the start of season 3, and I think we did a little bit in season 2, but I'm not entirely sure on that.
No,
I think we actually had.
It was just season 3 all the way to season 4. We only did pole and fastest lap, and then season
We only
5.
did. Oh yeah, and that's where we had our friend Roadrunner give us that idea of changing up the point system to have like wild card spots during season 3.
Yep.
Which it was very interesting, nevertheless, when it came to season 3. How I was managed able to freaking make it to the freaking championship for some odd reason. With this giving birth to you saying, well, good news, Roadrunner, you made it to the playoffs. Yay! But also, you have Shade over here made it due to the wildcard spot situation. Damn it!
Yeah, and then season 4 it kept that like that. Season 5 that was like pretty much like the more add up. And now is leading the lap and leading the most laps.
Because I had an idea to stake it up to where maybe if we had like a wild card spot, because we sometimes have that one dude that is unpredictable between the, and if we add the person in and give that person a shot, I believe they could be a contender, if not the winner for the champion.
And that honestly, it really freaking worked. The one predictable son of a gun was freaking Bledsoe from the 42.
Yeah, and let's just say he really did give it his all. And despite not winning, he's shown a lot of potential, which that is exactly what we need.
Yep, to the system and of how it works in our series alone. So, here's the big answer for pretty much what we have confirmed, and that will be happening along with it of my final choices in career to career neutral with it. If y'all know that what happened to Under Fire, they are staying on experiment on 50 on minimum, and veterans on 55, and max.
No, this was 60 and then 65.
Oh yeah, 60 and 65 for minimum, and then max was 100 for everything really. Under Fire, and I think everything on max should be best because that's where it's predictable. You don't know if you're gonna get that actual 100.
We got the most realistic racing out there.
Yeah, and that goes to driver of all that on the max rating, or due to say, I would say more like if we put it in more realistic way of our series, the driver be more on their skill base. The vehicle would be more on the parts, and the pick through more on pretty much team. So you got skill, parts, team. That's what I would say in Guru's perspective, realistic on my is moving forward. But in every fashion, it's mainly just ratings of increase and decrease, and that's how it works in our general perspective. And there's been many times we've been doing it. The agreement was at this point 4, we only do it 2 times to beat it on the end of the first half, and then we do it. Is it been either 2 or 3? Not any fair to do it in the first half
Mm-hmm.
of the regular season, and then the end of the regular season where to get ready for the Winston Chase.
Yep.
Now for each division, starting off with 5 of most likely either gonna be trucks, different type of trucks, or the featherlight or something like that. That was in the NASCAR Thunder games or some NASCAR games that had the big wheel buggies. Those are the 2 options we have aiming to that one. This one will have more to a chase format instead, and it's gonna focus on more to the modernish, and that's gonna be 16 drivers in the top 30. Actually, no, we're probably still gonna keep the top 20, but probably expect it to the top 25. We've seen drivers in the top 20s and top 25s that can make it. But we're not going to do that Bernie, because that's pretty much where it shows how bad the idea like current is. So we're going to do between 20 to 25. It's most likely going to go to 25 to make it just enough for fairness. And that's where the round is a round of 16, but we're not going to do each round of cutoff. We're more just going to have 16 drivers, and then we're going to duke it all out on the first half, and then after the 5th race, it will be decide who is in for the last remaining 5 races and who is out, and now it'll be the last remaining drivers on that cut line. So think of the round of 16, right? Will be how much left would be for the half we have left. So we got 16 drivers, right? And the drivers would probably have to be cut off equally. Would be 16 races, right? So it probably had to be 8 to 6 drivers, between 8 to 6 drivers, depending how it is. So we got between 15, 14, 13, 11, and your 10, 9, 8 drivers remain. 7 might be the stretch of the realistic of half of that number. Again, I'm not really a math person, so.
Well, we'll discuss about the changes into that, which does sound like a good idea. I feel like maybe when we start season 7 or maybe 8, I think that would probably be the best bet to go with. See, we'll test it out and see if we can find like good enjoyment from there or whatnot. But in my honest opinion, when it comes to like the championship format that we have, combining both Winston and Cup, I do believe that we did created like one of the best point systems.
Yeah, well, of course, for Cup, but I'm talking about like P5. Yeah, that's what it's really gonna focus on now, on the big resets. Again, this reset will happen. And hopefully everyone else agrees with it. It's in the end, that's after this season alone on Thunder Fire, and the final time for speed, and the 6th season Bone Rush for Cup ends. That's where the whole big reset. So now you close to what mentioned, literally mentioning just part of more for each division, because it's pretty much a walkthrough each individual way. Now for trucks, for like the actual trucks on E4, this one will, let's see, because on D3 on Knocker Menards, on the last cars, and that's the Knocker Menard cars, or any other cars that are in that series, is Cup and Under Fire. Still follow the same route system. For truck, that's the 4, D3 for Park Menard, the last cars. And yeah, technically we all know truck is D3 on realistic, but to be honest, cars are probably the more bigger step than the trucks.
Yeah, we already have a confirmed name for Division 3, which is called the Arkham Menards, or the... Yeah, it was the Arkham Menards that we confirmed that is basically like the Bush series and Cup, like main series Cup, fused into one. But it's more into like the Midwest to like Western regions in terms of like local races, rather than mainly focusing on like, you know, Daytona and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So ARCA is basically like the more local racing type versions, and then our fourth division, I do believe we agreed on, it's like going to be our truck series, which is.
Okay, now I finally remember. So.
And as for our fifth one, we were discussing like if a fifth one is possible, what would it be? For me, the most playable NASCAR game that I've played was NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2003 for the GameCube.
Featherlight.
And
correct?
yeah, it was Modern Featherlight series. Yeah, it was there in NASCAR from like the late 90s to like the 2000s era.
They did bring
And
it
I
back
think I actually did enjoy it.
They did bring it back in some form of way, but it was like a different dirt car on NASCAR Heats. Just yeah, NASCAR. I think it was NASCAR 4 or 5. If I remember, maybe the other one. NASCAR Heat 4 or 5. They brought on career mode and narratives. They brought the dirt car. How NASCAR Thunder did in their days with the melee or fifth or fourth starting career point. You know,
I do apologize if you hear background. I have a lot of dogs.
Yeah, no, I remember correctly. For Division 3 and 4 for the trucks on D4 and Division 4, and Division 3 for Mark Menard, it's gonna be their test of how consistent are they, or how minimized they can, and technically how bad can they get. So that's the second big test. Is they're going Winston style on D4 and D3 until you can finally get full combination. Because D5 gives you a little good enough of example, but also an example of the modern current day. Also a little example how the chase part of the wild card and all that stuff works. So that's how you would get the hang of with the chase part of it, if the wild cards. And you get the hang of it still, and get the consistency going with D4 and 5, not D5, D4 and 3. Then you got the hang of it with that, and you'll get a shot to get on the Winston chase of either National Push Series, or if you're lucky enough, you get a chance to do the Cup of the 2-in-1. The 2-in-1 is a hybrid of Winston and the Chase of Wild Card System back in 2011. And Winston Chase that's been here since 1971 all the way to 2003. And that's how it's been working. It's going to work for D1 too. But D3 and 4 is going to highly be watching the Winston art. Because I know old school fellas and people in Winston would like to see a certain part of that. So that's how the 4 and 3 will work. The 2 and 1 we have the same old system since then. And D5 with a bit of a unique way for Chase, but also somewhat modern day how it works now. To how it was climbing up those ranks. So, last part hurts, is what's also with these resets besides the visions and all that stuff, etc. Well, this is how, something funny as mentioned part of the big reset is we're gonna have drivers we can make, and if you don't know what that is, think of fantasy drivers since NASCAR games or any NASCAR game you played. For example, NASCAR Thunder, NASCAR Jacob, Daytona, NASCAR 2003 Racing Series, any game that had fantasy drivers. An example for fantasy drivers is to watch Season 1 of Golden Rush. There's some fantasy cars drivers in there that we tried. It was cool. So we're gonna have our own drivers to make, some drivers to have, etc., or drivers that you have on other leagues you had before. The second big one is now having your own team, or joining teams, or joining actual NASCAR teams. That's gonna be one heck of a cool events to have to do. We'll also have accountability to watch what is who has their actual rival going on, teammates, and etc. Neutral teammates, rival teammates, or actual teammates, what helps one another on teams or non-teams, or teams on their team on that one on their side, or team to win. So that's how it works on that part. And for this other part of the reset is also having everything to D1 all the way to D5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll start at 60 all alone. So, but if we do get some form of rookies, we will do the other approach as 65 on the minimum and 60 for the rookies, as we did on Thunder Fire. Most form case, but it's suspensions and certain drivers and all that stuff. Then it's gonna most likely be just how it is. And it's 60 or 65. 65 is only when the rookies come in, and 60 is just gonna be how it goes. We don't have no rookies on certain divisions, like pretty much for D2 and D1. That's the only two we're looking at mainly. E3 to 5 will have 60 all together. Because if you're venturing or not, it won't have that effect, because we're going to see how it really plays out. Of course, the quote-unquote decrease or the skills, parts, and everything, etc. of your team will happen each 2 times. Again, first half, the end of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Now for how it's still gonna work in that some way form if possible in the 1, 2, and 5, but for 4 and 3, 3 and 4, it would work in this beginning of the season all the way to race 10. That's the first one, and then the second one, race 20, 30, it will be the last one. So it's still the similar case, but to clarify, the Weston way on the 3 and 4, it's just pretty much the near end of the season. So that's how the big reset is gonna happen. Now, once again, it will be more talked about in better detail and agreements, etc., and neutrals, maybe disagreements in certain things, but it will be discussed more further on behind the scenes and confirm on new seasons. You'll see it on the surprise way for the viewers to get it all sorted out. That's mainly we get the staff members here, me, and here, Shade, Runner, and anyone else who wants to join that, etc. as a moderator or knows NASCAR things to be in it will pretty much have. This will be probably one of the most important means we'll have after, again, the first season's done on Thunderfire, because it's mainly been a fun experiment in a way, and also a heck of a ride to see that making divisions in our series has been paying off well.
Even
Not as we hope though on getting more people, but it did give us the idea that we want to try it in a different approach, in a cooler aspect. Good.
yeah. So with the things that's been going on right now, it's been quite a wild ride, and experiencing that wild ride. I do wish we actually have 5 divisions going on, and I do hope the 5th division it's going to be the Featherlight, because I do believe that Featherlight is criminally underrated, and it would be to most degrees.
Now scheduling.
But if there's like a substitute instead of Featherlight, it could be IROC, but we'll have to find a different mod for IROC.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, then we'll try. D5 has been the only main issue to figure out. D4, 3, 2, mainly D4, 3 has been already confirmed to be trucks and the R cars and car aspect look. So yeah. Now scheduling, it's gonna be the same. This will be our last 2-2 racing. As you've been seeing signs, it's been going kind of there. As well, after the break, of course, remember, and all that stuff, it took a little tone. But we're getting there to 2 races and everything. Back in action one last time, one last ride for it. But I think the ultimate agreement is that we're going to confirm in staff meeting is we're going to do 1 race per week now. And depending how we're going to do this on scheduling and timing on the schedule, it's definitely going to be a bit of a crazy one, but challenging. At the end of the day, it's going to be, I would say, a good ride to do it. Now to how we're going to try to launch it. as we said before, how we did it individually with Thunder Fire and Cup, we're gonna do first race on that individual. This race, first race on D2. Then, actually no, it would be opposite. So it would be D5 to start. Then D4, D3, D2, and then D1 to end off and start off. So first week we got D1, then follow up D4, then the next D2, and then 1, and it would separate at least further expand and at least keep it somewhat ahead, and then at a certain point when that startup is done, there will be scheduling on the week it will be on for each week of the races. For example, say race 8 for D5, and then you got race 7 for D4, race 6 for D3, 5 and 4 for D2 and 1. It's going to be technically like that for each week until they go to their. So this is how also would be pretty cool on week wise, right? So we want a week break as well. And it would work like this, right? When we're done with regular season, that division takes a 1 week break. We'll still get race action, and then with the interdivision, etc., they'll have that break until probably the 5th race they hit. So that'll be like 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, whatnot. So that's how it would work for the scheduling, and to make it unique in how doing D5 to 1. So 1 is always going to be the grand finale of the ending of the series for each seasons of, well, of course, you know, where the Western Chase is alone. Name series. Now, charter-wise, we're not sure what we're gonna pick on that one, because again, staff meeting will be decide almost most of the things or everything at that point forward, and yeah, that's what it's gonna be. We will keep, fortunately, some of the history of some of the drivers, but in future plans, some drivers will just not be mentioned. For example, Nazo will be mentioned once in a while, like, for example, here's the consisting, and that was season 1, blah blah, champion, blah blah, and whatnot, and yeah, like, some of them, for example, be the Magic Man, he'll be probably remembered, but there'll be a new Magic Man that'll be more better to, server, you probably might understand where history that has been for certain drivers. And yeah, then the last step from that, that's what we got on the NR23 Race and Chase Sim Racing series, and that's what we got alone. Because again, it's been really a blast, and I know at a certain point when we're gonna hit a certain degree of what was gonna happen to our series, just how I'm gonna grow and over time. I had a feeling, or I just had a knew and had to at least plan ahead to figure out what we would do, just rolling, or an expansion. I think the expansion would probably be right a road ahead, keep right things, and just roots with it. All about that. Yeah, that's everything really for all the stuff for the announcement. It is gonna be a very important long 2 hour one to hear for the viewers that need to understand how my live streams work, how Weird Dimension's gonna be on the future, and lastly, of course, this series alone of the Enter 2003 Western Chase
Hmm.
Sim Racing series.
And also questions and answers to one of us discussing about our lores and how they work in a certain way. So applied to you viewers over here as well.
Indeed. But that's pretty much everything we got, and that's everything I got alone to let it all out to, again, let y'all know that that's what it's going to be on the future, plans ahead, etc. And just, again, that's what I'm going forward for gaming, all that stuff, and the series here, and the series for the Levels of Dimension, and everything all above that has been in this announcement. The important one I probably have to do by far on my channel. And this will be on my page for on the recommend and probably the headline for quite some time for viewers to understand how this is gonna work. Yes, though, that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. It's for all of us here. Hope everyone had a good blast. Hopefully the year wasn't bad or something like that. Hopefully it went well enough that there was positive. We had the negatives, we had the positives, we had everything that happened in this
Mhm.
quote unquote New Year's in this year. But at the end of the day, spring is the new real year, and this year is just a move on forward to for the new year, general celebrating with friends, family, etc. But for us, we say Happy New Year's once again for the middle west of the mountain, central and eastern
And
west.
I'll say Happy New Year to the eastern side of United States, and a Happy New Year to every other country that is way more couple of hours than ahead of us. So that goes by to UK, Germany, and many others.
Yep, the European, the eastern side, the western side still here, etc. Happy New Year's to everyone and to all. And hope you all good last day, a quote unquote last day of this year. Until then, folks, this is Leo aka Barocker. Have a good night, and I'll see y'all next one to the new beginning of a new era.
Where we out with the old, in with the new. Happy New Year. Goodbye 25. Hello 26.